Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here to share my adventures and my haul from this weekend. And to answer the question that I posed yesterday, should I go and get a very special edition of a book that was unfortunately written in French, and I don't speak French to the level that maybe I should to buy this book? I'll answer that question at the end, but in the meantime, I thought I would just kind of share the haul that I took from used bookstores. So let me start by saying that California is starting to open up, specifically the Bay Area. And but I still wear my mask, still go in and maintain safe social distance and follow all those normal protocols. But I was convinced that there were gems that were just waiting for an entire year of nobody going in to these used bookstores. So this weekend, I determined that I was going to do a used bookstore crawl, which is something that I just missed desperately. So let me kind of also talk to you about what do I look for in a used bookstore. The first thing that I look for is I'm always scanning the shelves for a couple different editions or publishers. So I'm always looking for Folio Society editions in the case. I'm always looking for Persephone's. I'm always looking for Verago Modern Classics and for Europa editions. Europa editions, it depends on the author. They're not just instant buys for me. Whereas Persephone, Verago Modern Classic, and tend to be, and I'm also pretty picky with my Folio Society editions. But those things I really look for. I also am always on the hunt for books and works in translation. I'm always interested in interwar period. I'm very interested in works about female artists and travel. So those tend to be kind of the things that I'm always keeping an eye out for. So with that said, let me jump in. Let me see, where should I start? Let's start with the Folio Society edition, shall we? I actually found one, and for anyone who watches me for a while, you may laugh. I found the shorter piece. So I am obsessed with Samuel Pepys. He's the diarist and kind of clerk for London in 1666. So he was actually keeping a daily journal and diary during both the plague that happened in London, but also the Great Fire. So she's just a wealth of information and knowledge. But his volumes, there's many of them, and I do have a few of them. I think I have 3 of his volumes, but this is the shorter piece in case you don't want to keep all of them. So of course, for the price I had and the condition, I had to get this and to add to the collection. So voila, I've got that. Then I found some Persephone's. The first one I found is Saplings by Noel Streatfeild or Field. I don't know anything about this except that it's number 16 and it has the actual cover as opposed to the other Persephone I found, which just has the dove gray. Now this does not have the traditional bookmark that usually comes with. They always have very interesting designs on their inner flaps and a matching bookmark that goes with it. This did not have the bookmark, unfortunately, but very rare do you find a matching bookmark when it's a used copy. But that looks gorgeous, right? I also found this one. This is The Expendable Man by Dorothy B. Hughes. And look what was in it. I mean, this has not even been cracked. It is pristine and a really lovely inner cover right there. I can show that. Okay, so this one was number 68 of the Persephone collection. Let's keep with the theme of kind of interwar or mid-century women writers. I found this Elisabeth van Arnim, a Verago Modern Classic, not the green spine that I like, but it's still a Verago Modern Classic. And this was for their 30th year celebration. The sticker's falling off a little bit. But this is Elisabeth von Arnim's The Adventures of Elisabeth in Rugen. And this is set in 1901 in the Baltic island of Rugen. So, I really like Verago and I really like Persephone. I just like women writers of this time period, and that's really what these two publishing houses really focus on. So often can't go wrong. But I did find this green spine of Verago. Again, I have not found Verago Modern Classics in all the years I've been looking. So these were waiting for me. This is Mary Cholomondeley's Red Pottage. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous cover. Yeah, don't know a lot about this, but happy to get that and to read that. And then I found three Elisabeth Bowens. Also, again, really unique. This I thought was gorgeous. To the North. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous cover. This is not a Verago Modern Classic. This is a vintage classic. But I know she was published. I think she was published by Verago as well. I just didn't find that. The next one is The Last September. This definitely looks like a Verago Modern Classic, but it's not. This is done by Anchor Books. But love that. And then the last, maybe my favorite cover. This is The Death of the Heart by Elisabeth Bowen. So if you've read any Elisabeth Bowen, which of these three should I start with? Please let me know in the comments below. Also found Josephine Tay. This is Miss Pym Disposses. I know that Backlist has talked about this. Look at that cover. So you can't go wrong with a Backlist recommended, and that's Backlist Podcast. And they recommended this, so just grabbed it. Okay. And then another kind of mid-century writer who I have been looking for everywhere and hadn't found until just recently is someone that my dear friend Leo of A Little Book Life has turned me on to, Alice Adams. I mean, when I tell you that I have never seen an Alice Adams until last weekend in a used bookstore in LA, and then this weekend in my own. This is the stories of Alice Adams. This is her short story collection. Now, I don't love short stories, but Leo says these are really good. So, I trust Leo. So voila. Moving on, let's look at, here's another. So this is something that I've seen on some recent, I think it was a reissue of this in a different cover. But when I saw this, and I just really like this cover. This is a set in London, but it's a Caribbean author. And this is Sam Selvon's The Lonely Londoners. Look at that fantastic cover. Itty bitty little novella. And I think this is about Windrush and about immigrant life in London in the 1950s. So should be fantastic and kind of fits in with my collection of Black and British type of literature that I've been trying to pair up with Victober, because in Victober is also Black British History Month. And so I'm going to have a really great collection to start reading alongside our Victorian literature for Victober. That happens in October. Also found this book. This is Amelie Nottham's Fear and Trembling. And this was translated by Adriana Hunter. Now, I read one of her books, didn't love it, but this won the Grand Prix of the Académie Française, and I hear it's really good. So again, super small. I do love a quick little novella. Speaking of, this I heard about from Invisible Cities Project. I have some other from Invisible Cities where they put it on my radar. So thank you, Invisible Cities Project. This is Adriana Harwicz. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. This is Die, My Love, translated by Sarah Moss and Carolina Orloff. And this is about a woman who's battling her demons in the French countryside. So difficult women going through difficult things, French countryside. What more does a person need? But I've heard great things about that. Oh, and I do like Charcot Press. I like Charcot Press a lot, and Tilted Access Press. I also look for those as well. Okay, let me also talk about two books from an author that I read because of Bert from Past Story Time. He gave me a list, and it was a charity function where he would do 3 lists. So there were 3 slots, and he would do a personalized book recommendation list for you if you contributed to the charity event that was taking place. And this was for the migrant children trying to cross the border and being held in detention in the United States, in our southern states. And I was very up in arms about that. So I was very happy to contribute. And the list I got is evergreen. It is such a phenomenal list. On this list was an amazing book I read by an author I'd never heard of before. His name is Thomas Spanbauer. So when I found this, Faraway Places, this is his first novel that he ever wrote, I thought, oh, fantastic. So grabbed it immediately because I Loved You More was so powerful and so visceral and such a remarkable read that I thought, oh, I want to read his first one. And then look what else I found this weekend. This is In the City of Shy Hunters. And this is another book of his that I've heard. Leo from A Little Book Life read this. Leo and I think one of our first buddy reads that we ever did was the Tom Spanbauer, I Love You More. But this, Leo went ahead and read because he had a copy of it. So now I have my own copy and can read it. But I know Leo spoke very highly of it. Okay, moving on. I also went to a bookstore called Half Price Books. And it's kind of I think it's a chain, but it's in downtown Berkeley, and it is so close to the campus. And so there's just the amount of stuff that goes in and out of that bookstore is insane. And they have a really, really great collection. The prices aren't as good as some of the other places that I like to go to because I like my used books cheap. I'm very thrifty when it comes to that. You wouldn't think so, but I really am. Okay, so the first thing that I saw, they had a full collection of the Cairo Trilogy by Naguib and Mahfouz. So this was the first one, and I read this for the Egypt prompt from Invisible Cities project. And I'm telling you, this has stayed with me. It was so visceral, and the antagonism and misogyny of the main character was so intense that I still think about it, but I wonder what's happened to this family. So I'm going to continue. And luckily they had gorgeous copies. I mean, this one's a little dented, but fundamentally a good copy. They had the entire trilogy. So this is number 2, The Palace of Desire. And this is number 3, Sugar Street. Look how gorgeous that is. I just love these old photos. They also had another book of his that he wrote after the Cairo Trilogy, and it looks so gorgeous. And I just really like how he writes about family and how he writes about place. So I decided to take a chance. This is the Harwicz. Just stunningly gorgeous cover right there. Really beautiful. So I'll give this one a go as well. So let's move on to next, art. So I'm always looking for good art books, specifically books with women artists in them. And I saw this, Martin Gayford's Modernists and Mavericks, Bacon, Freud, Hockney, and London Painters. Now, I love Hockney. I really like Hockney, but I was like, I don't see a woman's name on here. But when I looked through and took a quick peek, I did see a bunch of women artists in here, including Pauline Bothy, who is someone that Ali Smith talks about. And so I was like, okay, well, let me grab it. And it was a great price. So, and look, it's practically untouched. So grabbed that. Yeah, just a little chewed up right there. Found this and already have read it because I think it's incredibly important at these times. This is Palestine Volume 1 by Joe Sacco. Now, Joe did this in 95, I think he put this out, but he did these based off of interviews of when he went to Israel and specifically Gaza and interviewed people on both sides of the divide, Palestinians and Israelis. It feels a little dated because he can be a little sharp and a little coarse with his language. but he's also very honest, so he'll talk about spending the day in Gaza, having things start to go intense with demonstrations and violence, and him being really, really relieved and happy that he has the privilege to be able to go back to the Israeli side. Really profound, and especially profound knowing that the things he's talking about here have actually denigrated and gotten worse. So if you want an understanding of some experiences that people have had in the 90s, this is a great book to bring you up to speed. It's very, very powerful. It's a comic graphic novel. I think there's a bind up of volume 1 and volume 2 that you can get, but this was the first one that I saw. So like I said, I already finished it. It's 4.5, remarkable. And I've read it before. It's a rereading. Okay, let's talk about, I found something that I wanted to read for the Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. It's happening right now. And this is Little Gods by Meng Jin. This is a contemporary novel. I think it was just published recently. Let me double check. Yeah, 2020. Meng Jin lives in San Francisco. And I think this is about immigrant experience, but also just roots and returning to to the home of your ancestral birthplace. And it's gotten good reviews, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I'll try to read this month. We'll see if I get to it. 3 more. Okay, so the first one is, I mentioned art, travel. This is a New York Review of Books. Diary of a Foreigner in Paris by Curzio Malaparte, and introduction by Edmund White. Don't know a lot about this, but I do like stories about Paris. So we'll see how this goes. And then I was inspired by this by Cover Talks with Jesper over at Instagram. I'll put a link to his Instagram handle below. But this is a Danish book. He's a Dane, and he's recommended this. This is Meet Me at the Museum, a novel by Anne Youngson. So really looking forward to this. It has, museums and art, and I don't know much about Danish culture, so hopefully I'll get something in here as well. So looking forward to that. I've heard great things. Then got this adorable little book, Quiet Corners of Rome. And this is just a sweet, sweet little beautiful coffee table book that has some places that you can go to in Rome. To kind of escape the madness of a very overwhelming city. Oh, look at that. Given the fact that I want to return to Rome, I think this was a good purchase for $2. So lastly, the question I'm sure everybody wants to know, did I go back and get the special book? First of all, let me say thank you all who kind of gave me your point of view. Both enablers and people who tried to speak reason to me. I decided to give a call. I called the place and asked them if it was still there. They said that they couldn't find it. And the grief that I felt in the moment let me know that I did need to go and see if I could find it. Now, these were 2 older women who kind of run the charity shop. And it's kind of hard to explain, so I decided to just jump in the car. So I jumped in, I got there in 20 minutes, kind of like a record going from Berkeley to Oakland. Got there, double parked, and as I walked in, they were jumping up. These older ladies were practically jumping up and down. They were so excited. They're like, we found it. So yes, I bought it for $4. I own a gorgeous, gorgeous copy of The Red and Black by Stendhal. And yes, I may not be able to read it, but I will. This is something that will keep me inspired to try. I did read 84 Charing Cross Road in French this year for my annual reading. So this is something I'm trying. And, even if, as many of you said, even if I don't read it, I can at least enjoy it because it is so, look at it. It is so gorgeous and floppy and beautiful. Look at that back cover. I mean, look at it. It literally has gold foil on here. It's outstanding. So, and let me just kind of show you how the chapters are. Not sure if you can see that. It feels like it's the old paper that you used to write letters for airmail. Just super, super thin, very delicate. And I'm very happy with it. I feel okay. For $4, this small little thing can fit anywhere in my apartment, but right now it's going to fit right here. Thank you for your vote of whether I should or should not get it. I appreciate it. And we are still in a global pandemic. So even if you're vaccinated, please maintain safe social distance, wear a mask, wash your hands, and don't touch your face until we're all out of this together. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.